My name is Gerson Martinez. I'll be your host for this fireside conversation. Welcome to our living room. And with us today, we have the team from Bitcoin Beach. Mike Peterson, who you know, Chimbera, the man that goes by one single name, Jorge Valenzuela, and I also want to make sure everyone's aware, in the back of the room are the young people who are doing the work in Bitcoin Beach. So a round of applause for them as well. I'm very excited. I'm really excited to be here with you guys today to have this conversation with the Bitcoin Beach team about about the history. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of Bitcoin Beach, but we're really going to focus on the future. I really want everyone to understand how these young men and those young men back there see their own country, right? A little bit of background on me. And women, yes, and women. Just a little bit of background on me. My parents are a part of what we call the diaspora. My parents left El Salvador about 40 years ago, and I was born and raised in the United States, but I had the benefit of being here visiting El Salvador my entire life. I got a chance to meet these guys over the summer, and I'm a Bitcoiner, just like everybody in here. I'm a Bitcoiner through and through, and I do my small part to try to secure the network. So we're going to get into it here, guys. I think I want to start by asking maybe Mike. Everyone here in the room is generally familiar with the name, Bitcoin Beach and the work that's going on there. But I want you to take us back a little bit in time to when you first arrived at El Zonte. Before all of it, tell us a little bit about what the community was like when you met Jorge and Roman, the work that they were already doing. Tell us a little bit about Bitcoin Beach before Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'm not going to get too much into the history today because like Harrison was saying, we want to focus on the exciting things that are happening now. But just to give you guys a little perspective, my family came to El Salvador 17 years ago and bought a home in El Zonte. And quickly, I met both Chimbera and Jorge and just saw that there was something different in these young men. And as we started seeing El Zonte as our home, and that being the place where we were going to make our lives, my wife and my two kids, we saw the work that they were doing in the community with the youth and how they were addressing a lot of the really challenging circumstances that families were living in. And so we started to seek a way how we could kind of come alongside them and behind the scenes, help support them in the work that they were doing, really to give the youth here a perspective that they can build a life in El Salvador. El Salvador has had a tragic history, and for a long time there was this sense in the people here that you couldn't make a life for yourself, that really the only way to make it would be to leave and go to the U.S., and a lot of times to work in a job that was below their skill level just because the wages were better there and that you couldn't build a life here. And because of that, we saw this destructive cycle of kids growing up without their parents. And because of that, them being prey to the gangs because they wanted a sense of belonging. And as the gangs grew, you had less economic opportunities, which created less jobs, which meant more men and women had to leave. And we saw in these two young men here, them breaking that cycle and making it so that the young Salvadorans believed that they could build a life for themselves in El Salvador, in El Zonte, and not focus outside the borders. And that was, really just revolutionary for us to see the difference that made in the youth. And so it's been such a privilege for us to be able to help in a small way with that.
Thanks, Mike. And I want to bring in Jorge and Chimbera into the conversation. I think this is a very personal thing for young people in El Salvador who have either grown up right now, who are growing up right now in this country as it's changing in live time. Or if you're a person like my parents, who at 19 years old decided to leave their country in the middle of a civil war. So, Chimbera, Jorge, cuéntenos un poquito de qué cambió en sus mentes cuando eran jovencitos y comenzaron a trabajar con niños. ¿Por qué fue eso? ¿Qué fue la motivación para comenzar a trabajar con los jóvenes en la comunidad del Zonte?
Sí, primeramente darle la bienvenida a todos, muy buenos días. Teníamos un discurso por ahí, pero después de que Morena ha pasado, se ha llevado todas nuestras palabras ya. Me ponía la piel china escucharle hablar. Ese cambio que ella ha visto es el mismo sentimiento que nosotros tuvimos desde un inicio. Todo el mundo, todo el tiempo en este país solo veía una o dos formas de ganarse la vida. Pero nosotros somos un grupo de personas, todo nuestro equipo ahí atrás. No sé por qué solo pusieron espacio para dos. Toda la fuerza de nosotros está basada en un equipo muy grande. Y creo que la fuerza de Bitcoin Beach está en los jóvenes. Está en el sentimiento de querer tener una mejor vida. Nosotros solo somos dos jóvenes del grupo Soñadores. Es una comunidad entera la que quiso tomar a bien cambiar su comunidad, pero no con la visión de su comunidad, de cambiar el sentimiento de un país. Siempre nos conocen por el país de las drogas, de la delincuencia, de las cosas malas. Y si volvemos a repetir generación en generación, todo el tiempo nos van a recordar por eso. Pero ¿en qué momento los jóvenes se van a levantar y tomar la decisión de decir, cambiemos nuestro país? ¿Qué les detiene? ¿Qué nos detenía? Hemos crecido en un río, saltando cada mañana para ir a la escuela. Y si no cambiamos nuestro sentimiento, estaríamos obligados nosotros a repetirlo. Y nuestros hijos también. Entonces, ¿en qué momento vamos a cortar ese vínculo, ese lazo que nos amarra a repetir lo mismo? Entonces, Bitcoin fue la herramienta para hacer eso. Bitcoin fue la oportunidad. Bitcoin fue lo que nos incluyó. Bitcoin es inclusive para todos. Bitcoin es nuestro dinero, el futuro. El dinero del futuro para nuestra comunidad. Le hemos demostrado al mundo entero de lo que somos capaces. Una comunidad tan pequeña, un grupo de jóvenes soñadores, ha cambiado el sentimiento de un país. Nadie está enfocado por lo peligroso que es ahora El Salvador. Todos están hablando de Bitcoin. Las ministras acá presentes han hecho un gran trabajo. Es admirable. Recordar desde un inicio a dónde estamos ahora. En 2019 estábamos con Mike en Uruguay. Un día vamos a llevar la conferencia por El Salvador, pero cada día se veía más difícil con pandemia y todo, ¿verdad? Pero mírenos acá, todos disfrutando el café de esta mañana, ¿verdad? Y bueno, yo les decía a los muchachos, no quiero pasar acá porque cuando me dan el micrófono no lo quiero soltar, pero pienso es el tiempo para Román. Y cuando tengan tiempo de reunirse con nuestro equipo de Bitcoin Beach, están todos allá, sí. Siéntanse cómodos a saludarles.
Gracias. Román, a question for you. Jorge spoke a bit about changing the narrative for El Salvador, right? And what the name El Salvador meant for many decades to the people of El Salvador was one thing, and now it's something that's changing into hope, right? Again, as the son of folks who left this country, I can tell you, in America, there was a very kind of negative connotation associated with being an immigrant from El Salvador, right? Unfortunately, I wish it weren't the case. That's how I grew up in America. But now here, Chimbera, talk to us a little bit about how, as Jorge mentioned, the country's changing and how your perspective about being Salvadoran is changing, from what it was to what it is today. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Hello everyone, welcome to El Salvador. This is incredible, like this dream that started in Zonte, and to see today all these beautiful people here is amazing. And this is proof that our country is moving forward for a better future, right? And when I speak English or Spanish, my English is not that good, but I can try it, so.
Whatever you want.
So this dream started in Zonte to change the reality of our community, right? So how we're going to change our community, how we're going to make that our young people will start dreaming in our community and stop dreaming to just cross the border trying to get to the USA and working there and then sending money to their families here. So people every time that meet Mike, meet Jorge, meet our group say, why El Zonte? Why El Salvador? Why Bitcoin, right? And I want to bring to you today these towns that is Bitcoin find us and we find Bitcoin like as a perfect tool to empowerment or people, right? And if you want to change some people's life, teach them about financials. Right. One thing that no one teach you around the world. No one teach you what money is. No one teach you how fiat money works. But we all do transactions every day, but we never thinking about it, right? So now we connecting to our generation in the back, like our parents. Why they never change their reality? And it's because they never have access to the bank account.
Because the money was bad.
Yeah. So, but we grew up hearing that for saving money, we need to put it in the bank. But if they didn't have access to that, they spending what they get in the months, they spending in the months. And we have been running our country since repeating the same history, you know?
Yeah.
And it's amazing now that before Bitcoin, I think the number of people that had a bank account in El Salvador was around 1.8 million people. And now, more than 3 million people in El Salvador have like a Bitcoin wallet that they can transact, that they can receive payment, that they can buy an asset for the first time, that they can start to build in their dream for the first time in their life. And this is just about Bitcoin.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Yeah, no, thank you. And I think what you're touching on here is some of the obvious ways in which Bitcoin is already changing life for Salvadorans today. Financial inclusivity, right? Being your own bank, going from being a person who can't have access to financial instruments or payment rails to being able to transact with whoever you want, whenever you want. So Mike, can you talk to us a little bit about maybe some of the less obvious ways that in El Zonte and more broadly in El Salvador, Bitcoin and the Bitcoin law is already changing life for Salvadorans?
Sure. It's such a privilege for me to see the speakers that were up here in front of me. Maria Luisa, the Minister of Economy, and also Morena, the Minister of Turismo. And it was only a year ago that somehow these guys cajoled a meeting with them, and we were sitting in a conference room presenting to them how we believed that Bitcoin could really change the narrative about El Salvador, how it could grow the economy here, and how it could increase tourism. And so I think people underestimate already what an impact that has had. Most of you in this room, you couldn't have pointed out El Salvador on a map 6 months ago, and now you're here with us. Woo! So we're seeing this huge influx into the country of people that are excited to be here, who want to see El Salvador succeed. Yesterday, as I was driving up to the hotel here from El Zonte, I heard a commercial that we hear playing here all the time. There's commercials that are run by the U.S. Embassy, and they're encouraging people not to go to the border, to build a life for themselves here in El Salvador. And to be honest, in the past, that's kind of rung a little hollow. But now, for the first time, there really is hope here. There is this opportunity, and I hope for my friends from the embassy that are here today that the U.S. government gets behind this instead of standing in the way of it.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Mike. And I want to stay on this for a minute, and I want to ask these gentlemen who are on stage here, what does it feel like to be partly responsible for what we can consider the beginning of the toppling of a very unjust monetary system? What does it feel like to be on the tip of that sword? Tell me a little bit about that. It's a softball question. No, kidding.
I think one of the things that Bitcoin teach is that it's not about one person or a few person. It's about everyone.
Yes.
And everyone is playing like a really important role in this. Some people are in the first line, some people not. But this big dream is not just about Bitcoin Beach now, not just about El Salvador. It's about everyone.
Exactly.
And everyone, I think, feel in the same page, feelings, exciting to see El Salvador adopting as Bitcoin as a legal tender. And so it feels like we wake up sometime and we don't realize that this is happening.
Right.
Like Michael just say, we were talking with everyone, and hoping that one day this day will come. And here we are today.
Right.
It doesn't take too long, but it took a lot of work, right? And like the dream for us was to change our community. The dream of Bitcoin is to improve the life of everyone, and everyone is doing like an amazing work on this. So I will say thanks to everyone.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. And what a humble response, from a very humble guy. This is exactly the spirit of Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin has no heroes. And what these young men are doing is being a part of a global team now that's advancing this technology. So thank you for that response. Jorge.
No sé si los de producción allá atrás tenían el video que se les solicitó de parte de Bitcoin Beach para compartir un poco sobre la realidad y la historia de qué estamos hablando.
He's wondering if there's a video. Oh, looks like we got it.
It's in Spanish, but...
Okay.
Enjoy it.
Ahora estamos realizando el campamento denominado Surf para Todos. Es un campamento donde reúne a todos los niños de la comunidad, todos los niños que son parte de los diferentes proyectos, que son 21 proyectos que se desarrollan en la comunidad, y ahora es el día donde todos nos reunimos y hacemos diferentes actividades, la parte espiritual, la parte surf, la parte de física y el convivio, también pasar tiempo de calidad con ellos, ¿verdad?
Excellent.
Continúa.
There's a little more to it. Maybe while we wait, I want to ask all three of you, whoever wants to answer. So much has happened in your community already, right? Since you began working with young people many years ago, a decade ago or more. And so much is happening right now in your community, in live time. I want to ask you, when you close your eyes and you imagine 10 years from now, what does El Zonte look like to you?
No es como luce ahora.
Jóvenes que puedan
No es como luce ahora. Al ver el video a mí me motiva mucho. Porque todos los niños que están ahí, es como imagínate una red en el mar. Muchos de mis amigos murieron por no tener oportunidades. Entonces, esa es la fuerza atrás de Bitcoin Beach. El sentimiento al saber que muchos de nuestros amigos no pudieron pasar esa net. Y es porque nosotros tomamos a bien tomar los mismos hijos de nuestros amigos y caminar con ellos y cambiar la historia de su vida. Y lo que hicimos también dio las herramientas a las nuevas generaciones para poder cambiar la vida de ellos. Ahora que ven todos esos niños tienen esperanza a poder lograrlo. Todos esos niños tienen esperanza a tener un mejor futuro. Y Bitcoin es el futuro para todas las comunidades en el Zonte.
Excelente, excelente. Bueno, it's clear that this technology that we're all here to study and to talk about over the next 3 days is having real life and death impact, right? Jorge just spoke about many friends who aren't able to see this reality that we're living or the future that we're about to see because they didn't have those choices. So I'm very inspired and I'm very grateful for the whole community and all the young people in the back who are doing the work, the ground level community work in communities like El Zonte. And as we kind of wrap up our time here, I want to ask, look, we have a room full of developers and advocates, podcasters, investors, folks from the embassy, folks from the government. What's your message to them? How can this community of people, all of us, support what's happening at Bitcoin Beach? Anyone, Mike or the guys?
Just by being here, by showing the world that El Salvador is not just some forgotten place, but it is a country that is leading the world forward into this new monetary system. I mean, if 2 years ago you would have told somebody that El Salvador would be the center of an up-and-coming financial system, they would have laughed at you. But here we are, here all of you are. Like I said, many of you who didn't even know where El Salvador was 6 months ago. And so I'm so thankful for the companies that are coming in here, not looking for how they can make money or benefit themselves, but how they can benefit this nation, how they can provide hope and opportunity for young people so they don't have to leave this country, so they don't join the gangs, so that they can see they can build the Salvadoran dream. And so all of us get to play a small role in that. And that's what's so great about Bitcoin. There's no heroes, there's no leaders. It is a decentralized movement that is leveling the playing field for the world so that the poor have the same opportunity as the rich. So that there's not certain people who can always hold control and can suck money out of those who are working and sweating for $10, $15 a day. But that we can liberate that. And so you guys are a part of that.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you.
And hopefully we'll get to see all of you guys on Thursday. We're doing a big thing. Actually, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Jorge and Chimbera have put together an amazing program in El Zonte, so hopefully you'll get to spend some time one-on-one with them and come see the difference that's being made in the life of the young people in El Zonte.
That's right, that's right. I think there's no replacing going to El Zonte. You're already in El Salvador. Please make it a point to go down to El Zonte, visit that community, understand what's happening there at the ground level, and just one kind of final parting thought, again, as a person who perhaps represents that diaspora, 2 million Americans, 2 million Salvadorans that are in El Salvador. I want to thank you folks. I want to thank everyone here on the ground who works in El Salvador, who manages this country from the government to industry. I want to thank you for the hope that you're bringing to us. I can't tell you what this means to my parents and their generation, right? To see their country transformed into a beacon of hope and an example to follow. I got to tell you, it's not something that I think anyone necessarily expected out of the blue, but it's been an incredible experience to be a part of, and I'm humbled and I'm grateful to have been a part of this conversation. I think the organizers as well, and again, everyone get down to El Zonte this weekend, all right? Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Guys, hang on. Stay on stage. We might take some questions. Thank you, everyone, for the panel. We might do some questions. We'll take questions. So, guys, thank you. That was an inspirational panel. And we've actually got a little bit of time for questions now. So, hands up if you've got a question for the guys on the panel, and I'll run around and hands up. Anyone's got a question for the panel? Yep. See you.
I was wondering if you could bring the whole team to the stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Equipo.
We made it.
For a better El Salvador.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions for our panelists? Okay, we'll take a couple more questions and then we'll see.
All right.
Thank you. Mike, this is a question for you. You've spent 17 years with your family and raised your kids in El Salvador. Can you just tell us a little bit about how that has enriched your family life, how it's been different than if you had maybe just been in the United States?
Yeah, I think that anybody who spends any amount of time in El Salvador will realize how much focus there is on family and community and togetherness. The people here, anywhere you walk, people will greet you. They're warm and welcoming, and so it's just been enlightening for us to realize some of the busyness that we get caught up in the US or Europe. It's a different way of life here, and so that's why we chose to move here, and that's why I think that El Salvador really is going to become a hub, especially in the Bitcoin community, for people that realize a lot of the chasing credit and flashy cars and big houses and all that stuff that a lot of times in the consumer-driven world people get sucked into. Bitcoin is something that clarifies that for you, and you realize the emptiness of seeking after that, and so for us, it's just been a reminder, and we've felt very privileged that they've adopted us and allowed us to be, partially Salvadoran, and that's how we feel. My kids especially feel like they are Salvadoran, and so it's been a real pleasure.
We've got another question from gentleman over here.
Okay, I went around recently and discovered that the average person on the street, even people working in the mall selling phones, don't understand how Bitcoin works, and they also don't understand there's more options than Chivo. So there definitely has to be some sort of moves made to educate people on how Bitcoin functions and how they can empower themselves by maybe even using alternatives to Chivo. But on top of that, I'm wondering if there's been a lot of moves, I know this is very new, but moves towards getting technology in the hands of more people. Because to use Bitcoin, you're pretty much going to need either a hub to where you can access smartphones or computers, or smartphones or computers need to be put in the hands of the people, which obviously requires lobbying and corporations to be some sort of incentive. And I'm wondering if you all are working on that or have any sort of game plan for that.
Let me speak first to the computers and the technology aspect. One of the great things that the government here has done is they've given laptops and tablets to all of the students in El Salvador, which is very remarkable. So we have a new generation that's growing up with this technology being native for them. The other thing you hear a lot of people saying is that, well, what about lack of access to internet and smartphones? Probably 70 to 80% of the families in El Salvador have a smartphone. They use it in their daily life. even sometimes we'll be out in the campo, the kind of poor communities, and you'll see somebody living in a shack made of lamina with dirt floor, but they're still utilizing a smartphone. And so I don't think that's the hurdle that a lot of people in the developed world think it would be here in El Salvador. I think the people here are much more comfortable with technology than a lot of people give it credit for. As far as the lack of understanding with Bitcoin, yes, it's a very new thing here, and it's going to be a long process. I mean, I've been in the space for years, and I'm still learning. So it's going to be something that we all have to play a role in. And of course, we want all the wallets being used. We do not want to see it centralized into one wallet. The government, we're happy there is a option, but we want to make sure that that doesn't become the default for everybody, because then it ceases to be Bitcoin.
Okay, probably time for one more question. If anyone else has a question, hands up. Okay, we've got one here.
So, I'm not a technical guy. Did you have to put all your nodes into place before this started, or how did you make it work? Or do you own the nodes, or do other people own the nodes?
I mean, that's the great thing about Bitcoin. It's decentralized, and so there's several different companies and individuals running nodes, and for most people, it's not something they even need to think about. Obviously, we want to push them in that direction, but that's why Bitcoin works and why it can be rolled out overnight, as we've seen it rolled out here in El Salvador.
But what about the liquidity of the circular system? How does that?
Like I said, there's a number of people that are running Lightning nodes and are providing that liquidity, and so we haven't seen any major challenges with that. Of course, on the technological side, with the Chivo wallet being rolled out to so many people at once, there's been some hiccups, which are expected. But the overall liquidity of the Lightning ecosystem, I mean, it's just been surging, and a lot of people thought it was going to be an issue, but it really hasn't been.
Fantastic. All right, well, I think it's time. Everyone, please give a round of applause for our panelists. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.